Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
It's the Tuesday, 5 May, year of our Lord 2020. Want to welcome in Chinese intelligence, CCTV, Beijing, Wanxi, Shan, all your underlings, Global Times, just a whole raft of our audience.
Chris Hayes.
Chris Hayes, CCP running dog. We don't know about that yet. We're still having a hot debate on the Chris Hayes segment last night. I will say I do believe Rachel Maddow misrepresented his segment, but we'll maybe get into that. If not today, we'll spend enough time with Chris Hayes tomorrow. Okay, we're in the War Room Pandemic, the granddaddy of them all, the oldest and the best. And the reason is the audience, the deplorables, because people in power in Beijing care what you think. They care what you think. They care what you do, and most importantly, right now, they care how you vote. Okay, so we're going to get into all that. Episode 159 on all of our distribution platforms. I'm confused. We're trying to. Where are we? You know, the whole thing about warfare and the fog of war. If you look at Nelson, if you look at Napoleon, if you look at Napoleon's marshals, the key thing is to keep your head about you when everybody else is losing theirs. Right? Just keep steady, get focused, fall back on yourself, and separate out the signal from the noise, the fog from what's real. And so that's what I think is very important, what we're going to do over the next couple of days, because the country's obviously going to reopen, right, and reopen our economy. How we're going to do it smartly, and to make sure that we don't stumble. There's a massive battle on Capitol Hill right now about this whole, Wall Street Journal's reporting about this whole issue of liability. Right, of actually who's going to be liable. And remember, our whole system is based upon or predicated upon an insurance system that underwrites risk for entrepreneurs and companies, right, and protects individuals. And that is a very well thought through system of insurance and reinsurance and risk mitigation and all that. And now we're in real time playing this through. So where do we actually stand this? Because yesterday, and here's what's concerning. We have been harping for now almost 2 months that, numbers don't drive you to force you to make a decision, but they're a framework. And every person out there in the audience, whether you run a little gardening company, everybody has because of the computer and your ability to do spreadsheets and marketing studies, everything like that, everybody is fairly, literate when it comes to looking at whether you're doing a political campaign, you're looking at polling, or you're looking at doing the commercials and what your audience reach is, or if you got any kind of business, what's my customers, how does it look, what's my costs, how do I run the perturbations to look at my fixed costs versus all that. Every person in the universe, right, even the guys who come around here on the trucks and stuff like that, get the data machines, they're the entire time processing information and seeing how that information drives their decisions. Here, this has to be somehow metric-based because it is two moving things at one time. It's obviously a pandemic about a disease we've never had to face before, right? And people argue, hey, it's like this, it's like that. You get herd immunity, it's just like the flu, or it's the greatest thing since the Black Plague, but you have to have the inside that to model. The other thing is the whole business aspect of it, right? What is the economy? We had this massive drop-off. We got 30 million people unemployed. We've had $6 trillion forced into the system. Remember, back to the saying, there are decades in which nothing happens, and there's weeks in which decades happen. We're living in that time. We're living in real-time history. They're going to look back 100 years from now, but decisions are made. The one thing you have to do in keeping your head about you is have some sort of grasp of how reality is mathematically presented. Correct? And here's where I think we have as a constructive observation for our friends and colleagues and allies, is that what I didn't like was the president going up there and having this terrific town hall the other day and actually making a big reveal from himself, which, hey, I think we're looking at 90,000 dead now. And then the next day, two major things happened yesterday. Number one, internally, it looks like someone has been doing a model, not the Kevin Hassett model, but an econometrics model, but somebody has been working on and doing a model. It's either FEMA or CDC. One of the things we've been arguing, that where are the pros from Dover in doing their own assessment, not relying upon some. And so this kind of leaks out. And the first thing, and the president says last night or this morning, I haven't seen it. Well, and the task force hasn't seen it, hasn't had interagency, homogenization or opinions. Hey, that sounds like the truth, but why has that not been presented? Why has NIH, Fauci not been said, do a model? CDC, do a model. FEMA, do a model. Let's look at these. What are your assumptions? How do they look? Is this one correct? Is this, et cetera? Then you have, it's like the issuing company, does its own forecast what it's going to be. And then you have the research analyst. And then another bomb. And I don't know how this happens. And this goes back, and I want to give a hat tip to the crew. It goes back to Ambassador, Colonel, Dr. Birx, and what she said on Sunday. As soon as she said that, full mitigation, I'm texting him, blowing him up, pull it. Hey, get Greg in the war room, pull it. There she goes again. Because the number, and we said this yesterday morning, that number's just not right. The 90,000 number is not right because things have changed. And August 4th, and what happens? They come out in the afternoon, kaboom, 134,000. Why? They've changed. It's not full mitigation. They had to, but my point is, somebody over the weekend had to understand this before you send the president up to do that, right? That's why I think now my recommendation, you got to fall back in two things. There's three numbers that matter to boil it down and to simplify: the dead, the jobs, and cash from the CCP, compensation. When I say dead, that incorporates every aspect of whether herd immunity or whatever, but get some sense of what the model is from the administration and look others checking. Number two, come up with an econometrics model that actually talks about if Mnuchin and Jared are talking about, hey, July we're going to be rocking, hey, I'm good with that. Walk us through how that happens, what rocking looks like, right? In a mathematical model that with a set of metrics that we can all say, hey, let's drive to that point, and this looks like it. Then we have two things we can hang on. One is the pandemic process, and the other is the economic process in the opening. And the third is what is the compensation going to be here, and how we're going to go about it, and how we're going to collect it. That, to me, you cover those three, and you get those, your point of repeat, we'll have it. But right now, as of yesterday, I said this is not good, because now we have all kind of numbers, and I think they're shocking. I keep saying every day, how can we walk in here and there's 2,000 dead every day, that even the models before showed a dramatic deceleration, right? And so I will turn it over to you guys now, but you tell me. This is just my thoughts from yesterday when I said now we're going to start popping up. You're going to have all kind of different models and all this different stuff. We got to step back here. And the president has to be very consistent. Yeah,
and I think you make some great points here. But I want to make clear what yesterday's government report and then also the IHME model coming out are. Those are an EMP from the medical scientific community against these governors that are opening up all of these states. An electromagnetic pulse, where they're basically just going and nuking all this.
Yeah, repeat that. Walk through why that is.
Okay. Let me go and read from the Washington Post. A draft government report projects COVID-19 cases will surge to about 200,000 per day by June 1, a staggering jump that would be accompanied by more than 3,000 deaths each day. So just to be clear for everyone, this is what's driving all news coverage right now. Let me continue from the Post. The work contained a wide range of possibilities and modeling was not complete, according to Justin Lessler, an associate professor of epidemiology at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, who created the model. He said he didn't know how the update was turned into a slide deck by government officials and shared with news organizations. So as we're seeing all these stories about states opening up, here comes the broader scientific medical community that does not like these openings, and they just dropped an EMP, and then IHME magically yesterday, just magically out of the blue, oh, thought bubble, look what we found. You know, it's like they just, like someone pinned a pair of mittens to their jacket on a cold winter day. They're like, we have a model saying that 135,000 dead by August. We're going to go and drop this now as Florida and all these other states are opening. So nothing happens by coincidence.
There's no conspiracy, but there's no coincidences.
No, so this is literally a medical scientific community EMP on all these states that are opening. But now, all that being said, I want to go put some things in proper context. The other thing that's very clear is things are going to get worse before it gets better. And I want to make sure that we understand, though, the buried lead in all this. This means that Trump's early action worked. It stopped our
exactly. If you go back and look at let's go through the details, because I think the implication here is those activities that were taking place early on actually did.
Yes. I mean, look, we kept our hospitals from becoming overrun. It bought us time on therapeutic and vaccine development. We used the Defense Production Act to start making ventilators. We started recognizing how this virus spreads, our vulnerable populations, the elderly, the people in poorer communities.
We learned more.
We learned more about this, the crowded environments, even to prisons, to meatpacking plants. Here's where these are our definition of what a vulnerable community is. And so imagine.
Hang on, but and also hat tip to you guys is that if you had done the implication there, if you had done the hammer the curve, if you had done 30 days to save America and just say hard shutdown, hard lock in place, hard quarantine, you extrapolate that out, you've been in even better shape.
Yeah, and so some tough love here, because again, I'm giving President Trump credit where credit is due. Also some tough love. We didn't do the full 30 days to save America plan. We did successfully plateau things. We bought ourselves some time to understand the virus, to start the therapeutics, the vaccine developments, these other things. But we did not crush it the way South Korea did. We bought ourselves time. But I want to point out 5 things I think we have to do going forward, and this is a kind of level set things. Look, we have to, this goes to your point, Steve, about what are the metrics, and people see numbers, 3,000 dead a day. You know, what does this mean? Look, we have to define recovery and better manage our expectations, if nothing else, for our mental health, for where things are. I mean, people at this point, I mean, they're going crazy. They're like, they want to get out and about. They want to have lives. I mean, you know, I want a haircut. I do need a haircut.
No.
I mean,
and one of the reasons I was on John Fredericks earlier, and he's like going on his rant because he's saying, hey, I don't understand any of this. I don't understand plateaus, peaks. Even the core of the Trump supporters are saying, they're going, I need to grasp onto something. Mm-hmm. You got to define. You got to define the process.
We have
of
to define, and not only define it, as Raheem always says, wash, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm. Do it over and over. Look, Texas has opened up now, but the malls are empty. A lot of these restaurants are empty. Now, I did see in the Houston Chronicle that a lot of the higher end restaurants are packed, and I guess people are owning the libs by, buying brie and everything. But look, Americans are nervous about getting back out. Second, we have to make clear that our goal is to keep safe those who we can actually keep safe, and communicate that things like testing are only one part of the equation. Right now, people think, we don't have testing, we can't get back. Guess what? Testing doesn't stop you from getting coronavirus. And testing is just one part in the overall equation. I think we got to knock it off with some of the, I think we've over-relied on the decentralizing things and handing things off. We have to have a much stronger national government hand in reopening. Now, this isn't saying...
Whoa.
Hold on.
Okay,
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay,
Listen to what I'm saying.
Okay.
This isn't saying that states can't reopen.
Right.
It's not saying that states can't go and open at their own schedule. But we can't have Dr. Birx on TV saying, poo-pooing the reopening, but then you have other states that are reopening on their own schedules. Federal and state guys have to be working together, and it can't just be like a fluff, hey, here's a nice idea. Well, guess what? Sunshines and puppy dogs are nice ideas too, but that doesn't mean it's going to keep you safe. There has to be people.
When you say has to be, how do we do that? We're going to go to commercial break here in a minute. How do we do that when the gateway to get to the starting line is not even being followed. The 14 days of decline, I don't think we have one state that has it right now.
Because saying a 14-day consistently, first of all, right off the top, that's not realistic because numbers spike up and down, plus they always spike after weekends. And so you're never going to have 14 days consecutive. That's an impossible metric to go and follow.
Okay, we want to go to hashtag War on Pandemic. We're going to talk about the poll Raheem did yesterday on his Twitter feed. We're going to get to all of this. We're going to come back and go through the 5 points of Jason. We're also going to talk to the lawn man and see if he can't come back and get the weed cutter a little later in the show. Hashtag War on Pandemic. Remember, not only do we want to hear what you have to say, President Xi is reading your Twitter feed. We'll be back. War on Pandemic in a moment.
Everyone loves the benefits of compression socks, but they're just so hard to get on. Until now. Introducing the all-new Copperfit Energy Socks, redesigned for the first ever easy-on, easy-off fit to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. A new blend of stretch fabric for the most comfortable, easy-on, easy-off compression fit.
Being a SWAT commander, we train to win. The Copperfit Energy Socks, they didn't feel like other compression socks. It totally exceeded my expectations.
Our most powerful copper-infused fabric, woven into our easy-on, easy-off compression sock to help reduce swelling discomfort from prolonged sitting or standing.
I'm 38 and a half weeks pregnant. Copperfit Energy Socks worked beautifully.
Extra support around the arch and ankles for increased support and relief of muscle aches and pains.
I'm so excited about these socks. I'm so much more energized to go do things after a day of work. They just slip right on, yet they still have that same compression that you want.
A soft cushion footbed for all-day comfort.
I'm on my feet at least 9 to 10 hours a day. These were fantastic. A lot of compression socks are a little too thin, especially for what I do. With Copperfit, I could wear these every day.
Feel more energized. Feel more active. Just feel better.
They just hug your leg. It relieves all the pressure that you have. I have so much energy, I can go, hey, you want to dance?
The first ever easy on, easy off compression sock. The most comfortable compression sock you will ever wear. Get your Copperfit Energy Socks now online at GetEnergySocks.com for only $19.99 or call 1-800-978-1224. Order right now and we'll include a second pair of compression socks free.
I've never felt anything like it before.
No more pain, no more swelling, no more achy, tired feet.
I can never go back to regular compression socks again.
Don't settle for ordinary. Ask for the original by name, Copperfit Energy Socks.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
Jim and Joanne are here to pick up the same prescription. They both know the system is not on their side. They both know drug costs are out of control. But one of them is taking back control with GoodRx.
Next.
So while he's paying that much, even with his insurance, she's paying this much just by using GoodRx. Use GoodRx to compare prices at pharmacies in your area and stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today and take back control.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
On the John Frederick Radio Network, America'sVoice.news. That is now Dish Channel 219 on Newsmax TV in 70 million homes. FM 99.1, 103.9 in Chicago. It is War Room Pandemic. Also, subtitled in Mandarin later for Chinese intelligence by G News and GTV. In the English-speaking world on Nexus.org, and make sure you're sending all your comments. Okay, I want to go back to, we're having this is one of the days we have a partners discussion to try to work all this through. We're trying to open America, save the economy, let the good folks in the United States of America get back to work and come out of their shelter in place as we start to unlock throughout the country. Jason Miller is going through. I love that. I love the EMP strike on the governors. So you think the scientific community struck back against the empire yesterday with the math from Johns Hopkins, from the Bloomberg. And one thing, Johns Hopkins is, I think, the premier public health, that and Harvard probably, in the world. And Bloomberg's put, I think, $300 million in there to do Event 201. I know heads are blowing up. Event 201. That's the one they called. That was the called shot they did on a coronavirus back in October. Right, people part of the conspiracy. Jack Maxey's fan club, is tweeting this. By the way, I'm gonna get to. I got my Jack Maxey notes later. Herd immunity. Remember, write down two concepts that get into your brain. You've heard it here first months ago. Gain of function and herd immunity. Okay, gain of function. But Hatfield said on the very first show, "Hey, you're just going to have to get to herd immunity, right? You can say this any way. You can crush it. You can stretch it out. You can do anything you want. You got to get to herd immunity."
Well, one of the things people have to understand about crushing, smashing the curve.
It's got so much Atlas Shrugged to it. It's got so much Atlas Shrugged to it.
You've got this parabolic curve right here. Underneath it is all the infections. It could be like this or it could be like this. But the number of infections under that parabolic curve doesn't change, right? So you're just stretching out.
That makes great radio.
No, that's for the AVN crowd.
Jason, you were going to finish your
your time.
Let me go and time this. So the broader point that's
go back to the top, repeat it, and let's go through the whole thing. It's brilliant.
So look, the fact, I'm going to read this quote one more time. Again, the work contained. This is about the 3,000 deaths per day CDC model that came out, and where it actually came from, and how it magically pops out. This is from the Washington Post. The work contained a wide range of possibilities, and modeling was not complete, according to Justin Lessler, an associate professor of epidemiology at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, who created the model. He said he didn't know how the model was turned into a slide deck by government officials.
Surprise.
And shared with, and I mean, to be clear, and I'm just actually almost done on a tweet on this, in the Hopkins Bloomberg study that was leaked out is an EMP from the medical scientific community against the economic reopening of our country. That's what that is. And then with the IHME to go and pile on with their new study that they just
from the University of Washington.
From the University of Washington to just magically now. And keep in mind, this is a bit of egg on the face from their end, because there's nothing new that happened from, say, last Friday until yesterday for them to come out with this study.
I have a deeper problem before you get in your five. Here's what I was trying to say. I have a problem with letting the President of the United States go in that setting of the Lincoln Memorial. Dr. Fauci and Birx had to understand. This is what's driving me nuts. They had to understand under this new criteria, the model was going to change. Why wasn't the president briefed on that? The University of Washington didn't cook this up on Sunday night afterwards. This is something they've clearly been thinking about. They dropped it on Monday, right? Because the president had gone out there and presented his, by the way, 50% increase to 90,000. And now that 134 also has a bunch of assumptions, and it could be much, much higher. My problem is that Fauci, and this is our problem with Fauci, we don't attack him from the right that he knows Bill Gates and he gives a wink to Jonathan Karl and he likes Hillary Clinton and he's part of the deep state. Forget all that.
Dr. Ted Ross.
Ted Ross. By the way, he's got this whole gain of function and all this has got to be gone through, and what he did at NIH. There's a whole raft of stuff. I happen to think that Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, what they're doing about their lab stuff last night is a cover for Dr. Fauci, okay, which we're all going to get into. My problem with Fauci is, how is he not ahead of the curve here? He's supposed to be Mr. Database and Mr. Science Base. Hello, did anybody on the task force think whatsoever with all these openings, the fundamental assumptions of the model? You got to give me Colonel Ambassador. We didn't play it yesterday. Colonel Ambassador Dr. Birx. On her Sunday thing. I mean, once again, she's signaling what they think. And it's like, hey, guys, you got to get organized and you got to be pulling in the same direction, right?
I wonder if they're trying to get out in front of the fact that Judicial Watch just put in a Freedom of Information Act request for all of Dr. Fauci's correspondence with the World Health Organization, CDC, etc.
Dr. Fauci, what you don't want to have at your office is your assistant or your secretary or executive assistant walk in and say, Mr. Fenton on line 2, right? That's a bad day in your life. Tom Fenton is like a dog with a bone, right? When Judicial Watch gets in your grill, good things happen for the people. He's the People's Justice Department. No, I think yes, absolutely. Tedros, all of it. So I've taken up too much. Do we have current? I got to hear her voice. I got to hear, I got to hear the scarf, right? You got to give me the scarf. Give me the scarf. And I'm a big fan of Dr.
Well, first, let me start with our projections have always been between 100 and 240,000 American lives lost, and that's with full mitigation and us learning from each other of how to social distance. Every single metro area and every single outbreak across the country is different.
Okay, let's go back to maybe 40, 50 episodes ago, where we really got into, it actually would have been 100 episodes ago, where we really got into quote unquote full mitigation, right? And how what we have isn't full mitigation, was never full mitigation. You look at what's coming out of Europe at the moment when they're reopening everything. Everything was closed. Your local pub wasn't repurposing into a delivery system. They were closed. There was no McDonald's. There was no Uber Eats. There's nothing. McDonald's today in the United Kingdom said, we're going to be opening 11 locations over the next month. For the first time, delivery only. So you can't say we're at full mitigation. The case cannot be made that we brought the hammer down on this thing. It just cannot. And that's fine, but don't come up here and say that it was full mitigation when it wasn't full mitigation, right? And here's the other thing. There has to be a contextualization of everything that we're talking about right now. So let's just reset real quick. They say in these new studies that you're looking at, 200,000 new cases a day. Okay, what's the current level of cases per day, guys?
I think it's 30,000.
It's about 20 to 30,000. It has been, correct. And so for people to understand what we're talking about here, you have to understand how big a leap that is, okay? Fine. But on the other hand, and you look at where the IMHE is coming out and where the medical and health community is coming out on this stuff, we've had 2,000 to 2,500 cases every day consistently for the last, month?
Yeah, longer.
But on May the 4th, yesterday, how many deaths were reported?
900.
900. Okay, so something's going on. And when these guys on the television, the Rachel Maddows and all these people get up there and they start mocking the president and saying, oh, well, he was talking about a fall off in the middle of May. We're living that fall off right now. It's actually happening in front of our eyes, and the numbers that they put on our screens are showing it, and they're up there gaslighting us and saying, no, it's not happening. It is happening. So what we have to understand is we're at this point in time where we're seeing a rapid decline in the number of deaths, a slight decline in the number of cases, and the medical and the healthcare community is coming out and saying, don't we want this to continue? And apparently this is their way of getting us to believe that this is how they want us to continue. And why? Also why? And this is where we're going to come to this clip, to this graphic I want to put up on the screen. It's because we also don't believe, the experts don't believe that the American public is going to engage in the fullest of mitigation as far as the easing is concerned, the social distancing, but also the mask wearing, right? So I asked on Twitter yesterday, and I realized this is not a scientific poll, Media Matters, but 27,000 responses on Twitter now on a one-day poll. And I asked the question very simply, you going to wear a mask out? 26.6% of people, and these are newer numbers than we have on the screen because the poll's still going, but 20 is still in the same range. 26% of people say only in confined spaces will they wear a mask. Only 10% say all the time. 8.3% of people say they haven't decided. And 55% just outright said, nope, not doing it. So why are they concerned and why are they dropping these new numbers on us? Lots of different factors here, but one of them is they're looking at this and going, wow. And by the way, it's not just the healthcare workers, right? And not just the first responders. Almost every single person in the United States of America has made incredible sacrifices. All right, and everybody deserves a pat on the back for bringing this thing down and doing things the right way. But they're looking at this and going, we put all this work in and it's about to change back. And that's why we are where we are today.
I also think that one of the things we have to understand, the American people now are woke as to what the real dangers are. Let's get real. If you are under 30, your chances of dying of this are almost zero. And if you have underlying conditions, it should have been the state's responsibility to take care of you. If you look at places like New York State, Connecticut, Massachusetts, they have the significant numbers. We're talking like 40% plus of the victims were people who were in state care. So if we talk about who was going to be able to die, who potentially would die from this disease, most of those people have already been infected by it because of the failure of state and local authorities to protect the people under their care. So when you look around and you see the shutdown, I think another thing that people are a little bit worried about is like, I go into Costco, there's 1,000 people in there. How's that, mitigation? But I can't go get a haircut where there's only 5 people in there. I think people are frustrated by what they see as the hypocrisy of the entire thing. And then when you begin to look at the infection rates, New York City has an implied 20-25% infection rate now. So did it work? I don't know. I think this is a big question in a lot of people's minds.
Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. Hashtag war and pandemic. We want your observations. We also want your news. We go through everything that you guys send us. Somebody in the staff in the war room goes through it. So hashtag war and pandemic, at War Room 2020, at War and Pandemic. Back in a moment.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new CopperFit compression gloves with sure grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new Sure Grip bands built in to provide a strong, non-slip grip for more power and control.
You need total control of your hands when you're doing anything with construction. Your hands are your livelihood. The CopperFit gloves are great. The grip is outstanding here with these different ribs. It makes my hand a lot more usable. It just feels like you're just ready to start the job.
The gloves have been a game changer for me. They help with flexibility and pain and soreness. They allow me to do my job even better.
Breathable wicking fabric with an open finger design for full range of motion, feel, and control.
They relieve my pain. When I grab something, I'm not in pain. The support or whatever magic these things do, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It works.
I get a lot of pain, and it can make it difficult to do the smallest thing. While I'm wearing this, I do not have any pain. I can use it on the keyboard. I can use my phone. I drive with it. I sleep with it. I love this glove.
The new CopperFit compression gloves with Sure Grip technology. Relief from painful muscle and joint soreness. Guaranteed or your money back. Call 1-800-984-5571 or on the web at getcopperfitgloves.com for only $19.99. Order right now and your shipping is free.
I tried it. I use it. I know it works.
CopperFit gloves definitely just make my life better.
I've used CopperFit before. This has helped my hands so much. These things work.
Feel better with copper-infused compression. Ask for it by name. CopperFit compression gloves.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll. Whether for yourself or someone you love, call the number on the screen now. Call now.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
The nation's capital, on Capitol Hill, right across the street, where they're having conference calls to actually do the arguments of the Supreme Court. First time ever, I think, was yesterday. Did a conference call. We're on Capitol Hill, on a Capitol that I think is going to be awakening this week with the Senate coming back. The House still in hiding. Master strategist Nancy Pelosi still huddled. I think she came back, right? She flew back, left her ice cream and came back. So she's on.
No, she has a dual supply of ice cream here.
Okay, that's right.
Oh, I thought it travels with her.
You know, I wonder if she has. Do you think she has like Capitol Hill security, and they have to actually carry the ice cream like a nuclear football?
I think they go. I think they actually. She makes them go run and get the ice cream. Knowing Nancy. let's go back to you actually have framed this quite well. Let's go back to your 5 action items.
Yeah. So, and again, this Raheem's poll dovetails perfectly with this, and this all comes together about people needing the clarity and message and people being bombarded now. Look, our Americans are so smart. At the beginning, when we were doing these press briefings, people didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what social distancing was. They didn't, look, I didn't think there's a difference between washing your hands for 10 seconds versus 20 seconds. Everything from the crowded environments, how far a sneeze can travel, all these details. Now people are being overwhelmed with information. And a lot of the information, quite frankly, is bad or biased, or especially as we see, or might be factually accurate information being dropped at certain times to manipulate the media and public things, like we're seeing with this EMP from the IHME and from the Bloomberg.
Johns Hopkins.
Yeah,
Bloomberg School.
Yeah, Bloomberg School. Okay, let's go and break down the 5 things going forward to go and bring some clarity. Number 1, we need to define recovery and better manage our expectations, not just for our mental health aspects, but what's medically and scientifically controllable and what's not controllable, so we know what a successful economic rebound is going to look like. Unless people know what a light at the end of the tunnel is going to look like, then we can't conceptualize it. We can't wrap our heads around it. So if we're asking for a continued sacrifice or for people to understand as going forward, we need to find recovery. This is for our well-beings. And also, look, let's be blunt about this. It's also for President Trump. When we talk about his success in going forward, we need to define what recovery looks like. Number 2, and then we'll come back on these. We need to say make it clear who really is at risk here, and make sure that our goal is to keep safe those that we can. And this is where our focus is, because this is a very disproportionate disease, not just geographically when you talk about a lot of the blue states, the big metro areas, but we're talking about the poor, people with poor health care, people who are elderly, people with comorbidities, people who are working in crowded environments. So we need to make clear who's really at risk. And the other thing too, the testing is one of a million parts of this. Testing does not keep you safe from coronavirus. We're never going to be a point where everyone gets tested every single day and we just go on off into in perpetuity. Number 3, we need to knock it off, and this is some tough love, with this completely fragmented, decentralized aspect. There needs to be better consensus with the federal, state, and local levels on what smart reopenings look like. That does not mean a one-size-fits all. Each state is going to open up because, again, states are disproportionately impacted by coronavirus and have different needs, as South Dakota versus in New York. But you can't have Dr. Birx and a governor saying 2 completely different things. You can't have a mayor saying different things from Dr. Birx or Dr. Fauci. So I think that look, just to be blunt on this, I think there's a broader federal, state, local crisis in confidence for people wondering who's given us the best message when. They need to be on the same page. And they can be different state by state, but they have to have some commonality and agreement as to what works. Number 4, we have to split off the scientific and medical task force in the community, make them be responsible for their own numbers and their own best practices. It should not be on President Trump to have to go out there and own these death count projections. That isn't his job. That is why we have Birx. That's why we have Fauci. It's why we have Adams. It's why we have Redfield. It's why we have the Bloomberg School of Medicine and Oppo dropping. It's why we have the IHME. Set up those guys like Boris said yesterday, set them over up at the EEOB or the HHS, have them do their daily show. They have to own the scientific. And 5th, President Trump needs to be the face of a successful economic recovery. And what does that economic recovery look like? I think sometimes we get kind of the Wall Street component and the individual life component mixed up. The energy market doesn't come back until people get out and start buying gas. The airlines don't come back until people get out there and start buying airline tickets. Our overall economy doesn't get back until small businesses open.
The malls in Texas, you mentioned, don't come back until people feel comfortable going to the mall and shopping again.
Right. And so until we get people working again, they're not going to spend any money. So we can see. So again, President Trump, and I like today for him going out to Arizona. I think that's good. He needs to be the face of the reopening. That is his job. He used the bully pulpit on that. And going back to point 4 for a moment, let's let the scientific guys go and own their business. President Trump is the face of the successful reopening. So those are the 5 points I think that we have to do to bring clarity to this, because right now everyone's so bogged in these national numbers, the 3,000 deaths per day. Here's the counts. Guys, it's complicated. It's a Rubik's Cube, and I used that line yesterday, but we don't have to leave it being that complicated. We control the variables we can't control for, make clear to the public here are the variables we can't control for, and then we fight on like Americans, like we always do.
And I just want to make clear that we're not at war with Russia over the Ukraine. And the reason I bring that up is because at the outset of when the politics starts becoming more important here, we're going to hear a lot from the left and from the establishment of why the president owns these numbers. But actually, remember what we heard during the impeachment saga was he should listen to the experts, he should listen to the Vindmans, he should listen to all of those guys who were tub thumping Russia people on this point. During this pandemic, he has listened to the experts. When the president goes up there and speaks, he's speaking with the models and the numbers that he's being given by the task force of experts. So I would, and point 4 is so important and will remain important until the morning of November the 4th. Is that you're going to see more and more political attacks. We're already seeing the Joe Biden ads and such, but you're going to see more and more of that, and you've got to keep that in the public's minds that this president went on the guidance that he was given. So I wholesale reject that anybody to be able to come along and say, 200,000 deaths, that's on you, brother. No. This is Fauci, this is Dr. Birx, this is IMHE, this is all of that stuff. This is Imperial, University of Southampton. These are the experts, and we've listened to the experts. And where are we?
You bifurcate. Go ahead, Jack.
There was a very interesting illustration that everybody on the East Coast saw over the weekend when we saw the Blue Angels and the fighter team from the Air Force flyover, right? This is what the federal government's role is. They are air support. Every single state is its own infantry division. They're responsible for the battle inside their state. And you're actually watching Cuomo now take the advice that you're giving to Trump. Cuomo has said to the various counties throughout New York State, because some of them have no victims. I mean, there's literally places in the state where everything is shut down, but there's no one sick. And he said, okay, it's going to be up to you guys on the county and local level. You're going to have to hire your own experts. You're going to have to analyze your own data. And you're going to have to make your choices on a county-by-county level inside New York State. It's no different for the 50 states and the territories. People have to start taking responsibility for their own territory, i.e. their state or Puerto Rico or Guam or wherever it is. And the leaders there have to be able to take responsibility for those decisions. The president cannot make decisions for localities and for states. Our system does not allow for it.
I want to go back to bifurcate. You want to bifurcate the way it's presented. You want to bifurcate. You want to have Fauci and the guys come up every day, talk about metrics, talk about numbers, do it in EOB or in the Brady room, but do it with scientists, more metrics, and have maybe not the White House correspondents, but a different set of reporters report this that could do it. And then you want to have a different economic group come in and talk about the capital markets, jobs, all of that. And for President Trump to be the face of the successful reopen. If you've got those two for the messaging part of it, how do you coordinate that back? What is in your thing of setting goals and defining? Because to me, you have to do it kind of now. You have to lay out, here's what we consider, because to Jack's point, you've got people running to the sound of the guns right now, right? You've got, and we've always been an advocate of, at the federal level, you're for logistic support and overall guidance. At the state level, that's where the management is, where we believe in the federalist system. This is where the management is, whether it's DeWine in Ohio or Cuomo in New York, right? And then you execute where it actually hits the deck plates at the county executive letter or the mayor, whatever it is. But how do you define today what that successful opening looks like?
Well, and that's part of that is the challenge, because I don't think we've been so I'm punting a little bit, but I'm going to tell you why I'm punting here, because it hasn't been made clear to the public what exactly works and what doesn't work.
No, the reason you're punting, and you're a guy, it's on this more like Jack and Raheem 24 hours a day, and it's still not defined. That's my point, is that it hasn't been defined enough about what success is. What does this look like?
Right. So, for example, I mean, everybody, look, when you're out in public right now, you kind of pass someone on the street or you're both walking into a restaurant, everyone has the same kind of awkward thing like, okay, I'm going to stand back It doesn't look like you're on fire, but I'm going to stand back. I have my mask on. Everyone's, eyeballing each other, like looking up and down. Does this person have the COVID? Does that person have the COVID? You're standing apart and you're all kind of nervous. It's almost like like the good, bad, and the ugly, when you're waiting on the guys to draw and they're staring each other down, Clint Eastwood on the Western Street. But people don't really are we, if we have our mask on, does it matter if we're 6 feet versus 12 feet, or kind of what are the real risks here? Because here's what we know. We got to think about this much more, let's say, like the electoral college mindset as opposed to the popular vote, because it's a battle of areas and a battle of populations of where this is really going on. But to the point about what the successful reopening looks like, people are still unsure. And again, this goes to the confidence aspect. This goes to, there are some numbers out, I think it's in the Washington Post this morning, that I want to say it's like 68% of people still
I saw that.
don't want to go out to restaurants.
It breaks out to political lines, but some of these numbers combine both. I mean, the 68%, this shows you the unemployment.
78%. So eating out at a restaurant, 22% comfortable, 78% uncomfortable. Going to a retail clothing store, 33% comfortable, 67%
movie theater,
uncomfortable.
These are brutal numbers.
So here's my point about a safe reopening. Just very simply, I would just put out today, hey guys, you want to go to a retail store? Here are the 5 things, or here are the 6 things that retail stores, both on the store and on the customer level, need to do to be safe. You do these 6 things or 5 things, you're going to be safe. Go into a restaurant, here are your 5 or 10 things. As long as you're doing this, you're going to be safe. And then people are like, okay, good. I know these people are following it. I'm going to feel more comfortable going to that. Right now, it's still up in the air. We're losing sight of the small important things to make people confident to go to that restaurant. Until someone's ready to go to that, until Raheem is comfortable to go back to Morton's, he's not going to go back to Morton's.
I'll go right now.
Well, this is true. That was a bad example.
This is one of the reasons why I've said from the start, it's really important that the president uses bully pulpit to just tell people exactly what the risks are. We are still playing this game that, the 18-year-old marathoner is just as at risk as the 86-year-old
I don't think that's
guy.
I don't think the president should do that. I think that should be Fauci and Birx ought to be doing that every day and having very specific conversations about this. But what you're seeing is that I don't think that public health guys want to do that. They don't want to have that. That's not a political conversation. I don't think. I think you have to have the public health.
Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
I think the reason is, let's just be on this, because doctor moving goalposts and a lot of these folks, they don't want the accountability. Everyone wants to say, hey, let's let Trump take this.
I agree with
1,000%. Let's let this sucker get.
You're
hit.
setting up for ultimate failure, because you're going to come out and say that, and boom, next thing you know, the Bloomberg Johns Hopkins School is going to get to a government guy who I don't know how it got in the Washington Post, right? We'll be back in a moment.
Uh-oh, there you go. Slow slicing fruits, veggies, and those stingy onions that bring you to tears. But not anymore. Introducing NutriChopper, the compact handheld speed slicer that cuts up to 10 times quicker than a knife. Watch. You can have 1 slice or 10 perfect slices at once. Amazing! You can just julienne, or you can bundle slice julienne sticks at lightning speed. With NutriChopper, you can slice the entire onion or mince a mound of onions and never have time for tears. Why slice a single apple wedge when you can wedge it all in one snap? NutriChopper comes with the razor-sharp interchangeable stainless steel blades you need to make all of the cuts you want, and all incredibly quick. Chop thick slices, chop thin slices, chop cubes, chop sticks, and wedge whole fruits and vegetables in just 1 second. Slice it and cook it right in the pan, right on your stove. Chop and slice right into the pot for a family-sized stew with no mess. Snap and slice a fruit salad for the kids right into the bowl in seconds. Slice up a healthy salad for a quick and easy meal on the go. Cube meats and cheeses quick, in a snap. And NutriChopper comes with a perfect portion container and fresh-keeping lid, so you can slice it, seal it, and store it all in one. To clean, simply rinse or rack it in the dishwasher. Then lock it to store it safely in a drawer. And now the NutriChopper with the thin slice, thick slice, wedge, and cube blades, and the slice and store container and lid, a value of over $40, is yours for just $19.99. But wait! Order now and we'll even pay the shipping for you. You get the complete NutriChopper set with blades and container with lids, all for just $19.99 with free shipping. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-927-4071 or go online at NutriChopper.com. That's 1-800-927-4071 or go to NutriChopper.com. Order now.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that? I should. Call 833-LEAF Filter or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Both the administration and Dr. Gottlieb, who used to be FDA for President Trump in the first couple of years, actually had observations. Let's bring their voices into this.
Yep, let's go to Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA commissioner, this morning on the Today Show.
In terms of flattening the curve and preventing the healthcare system from becoming overrun, it worked very well. In terms of forcing the epidemic to really peak and then start to decline, we've really been at a sustained plateau now for about 30 days. And so we've been at about 30,000 new cases a day and 2,000 deaths for an extended period of time. We haven't started to see the declines that we expected to see right now. But remember, modeling is imprecise, and that's why we shouldn't put stock in any one model. It's not like forecasting the weather where you make a prediction and then you see what happens. You make these predictions and then you take actions based on those predictions. And so,
which is
exactly. But hold it, he just said correct me if I'm wrong. Jump in here, Jack Maxey. Didn't he just say the opposite the other day? Didn't he say the mitigation didn't work?
He said he did. He said the overall.
Gottlieb, don't be moving the goalpost on me. You're my guy.
Oh, no, he totally Sunday he said it didn't work, but then he had an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal yesterday saying that it did. He was a little over the map. That's why I just played today's clip, because Dr. Scott, who we love, I retweet the guy all the time.
They're killing me.
Hey, look, at least I own the herd immunity.
No, you're consistent.
And I got three guys here.
You're consistently wrong, but you're consistent.
Sweetest Jack. Sweetest Jack.
Look at that. Right, hold on.
Okay, that's a perfect example.
No, the Scandinavian.
When we're talking about the failure of the old age homes, this is why I think the whole mitigation thing has been kind of screwed up, right? And we said this very early on. When you realize that more than half the people are asymptomatic, how do you really lock it down, right? So Sweden, which everybody says is bad, whatever, we're not going to go into it, but Sweden has 40% of their mortalities inside old age homes too. Very similar to New York, Connecticut, and every other place that's having a disaster. And they supposedly circled up their old age homes, and even they were not able to succeed.
Wait, buried lead. Jack just referred to Sweden as a disaster.
I know. Tweet that out.
Just like every other place that was a disaster.
Vish, pull that and tweet it out. This is okay, but Gottlieb, just help my sanity, because I am starting to lose a little bit. Gottlieb said on Sunday, on the Sunday shows, which is the railhead of driving the conversation for the week, he said mitigation didn't work. Then he comes up with the op-ed in the Wall Street Journal and kind of walked that back. And now he's got a whole different interpretation that in fact it did work, right?
Well, he's clarified it now, and to be fair to him, a little bit was just his messaging being a little jumbled. He's saying that look, this is a point that we've said that we didn't go hardcore.
He didn't hammer enough.
We didn't hammer it. We didn't smash the curve.
Fine.
That's why we got to the plateau. But what we did, but again, this is the point why I started off the show this morning, saying let's be clear about what doing this, the time that it bought us on the therapeutics, the vaccines, the ventilators, understanding the disease. That was important, but we plateaued. We did not smash it because we didn't go hardcore enough during this month.
Hassett came back in to help the economic side, do the econometrics models, and be there as a temporary guy. Why are they not bringing in Scott Gottlieb for that? I realize he's making a tremendous amount of money now in the NBC networks, but why have they not brought him in to help on the messaging side? exactly like Haas has done for modeling, and Haas has now gone out and been a little bit the doctor of doom on for Great Depression, 40%, which I think has been terrific. The part that he's done that. Why are they not doing this with Gottlieb? Isn't Gottlieb the of all the medical guys that come here, all the public health guys, isn't he the one that actually lays it out in a way that people can understand it, and he's fairly consistent?
100%. In fact, I would bring in Gottlieb to your point, Steve, and when we split off this medical community, go over to the side, he's now our quarterback. Dr. Gottlieb, you're in charge. Don't worry, you're going to get your book, and you're going to CBS.
The book deal is going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger.
Right. CNBC is going to double your contract when you come back. So don't worry about all that. You're going to come back. You're going to be in charge of Fauci and Redfield and Birx and all these folks.
This has to be an action item. Seriously, I think because people think, oh, so far, we're just starting this process to reopen. Gottlieb, I think, has to, in that bifurcation, he should be the face and the voice of it.
And look, Gottlieb, he will give you the tough talk when you need tough talk. He will tell you the positive things. He will push back on the media. He is a beacon of sanity in this midst of medical and scientific community nonsense right now.
Okay, speaking of not a center of gravity of sanity, you have Azar?
I do have Secretary Azar. Let's go. It's about a minute and a half.
By the way, is he still Secretary of HHS? I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Is he in the Witness Protection Program? Where was he given? Was he given this? He gave this interview on Barstool.
No. If it was Barstool, we would have played it in the A block. We would have had that right at the top. No, but this is he's.
Then
on,
it's real news.
Then it's real news. Yeah, if it's on Pardon My Take, then I would have been leading the show with it. Let's go to Secretary Azar on Fox News this morning. Actually, just like within this last hour.
Yeah, Mr. Secretary, the other question, obviously, this morning, and many Americans are waking up and wondering about are these various news reports suggesting there's at least a draft report from CDC, FEMA officials, and others predicting that you and others in the White House administration have to prepare for the possibility of up to 200,000 deaths of Americans by June 1st, that there's going to be 3,000 deaths a day. It's going to be rising. Is that true? Have you seen such a report? And if it's not true, what are you preparing for, sir?
So I've not seen that report. I've heard about it, obviously. There are hundreds of models.
I had to hit stop. Full stop.
Come on, dude. The thing is out there. Go to the website. No, you're killing me. Azar's killing me. This is the senior advisor of the President of the United States. Now you know why he's in the Witness Protection Program. He has us. By the way, Caputo, our guy, and we love Caputo. He's over there. Caputo's got to be briefing this guy. Got to be schooling this guy. You can't go on that show and say that, right?
You can't. No. Now you can go into what I did earlier. This is
your thing was perfectly thing because hey, it's all over the map and stuff like that. And I want to punt because I don't know enough. But but an aspect of that was not. This thing's been available. First off, I would have assumed he and his staff would have deconstructed the entire thing and sat down with the president and said, hey, look, this is how it popped up. It came from Johns Hopkins. Somebody got it. They put it on a slide. Here's what it means. This is why it's not going to happen. Otherwise, we would have told you about this before we went to the Lincoln Memorial. There's not going to be 3,000. Here's the 5 reasons why. And bang, when Fox tosses me, that was coach pitch. Okay, they did a coach pitch. You're supposed to get in your wheelhouse and go yard on that, right? You didn't. That wasn't even a foul tip. That was a massive swing. You didn't even swing. You just kind of took it for a strike, right? How do you do that?
He missed the T-ball.
Missed the T-ball, right. I even said it was coach. It was probably T-ball, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to come back and spend a little more time on this one after the break.
Do you have enough time? No, we don't have enough time to play again. You can play it again, or how long does it take?
It's about 30 seconds. We have.
No, it's too much. I got to get to the point. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break. When we return, we're going to have Bill Gertz, but we got to lead with Azar. Got to get my blood going again. You know.
Okay, tell people to go to warroom.org/newsletter.
Just say it again. Okay, we'll start at the top of the hour with it. Bill Gertz is going to join us in the War Room next.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on,